Hello, my name is Golnaz Agahi, and today I want to talk about effective communication through connection and authenticity. Do you have what it takes to be an authentic leader? So the story I want to tell you is about a little duckling and how this little duckling transformed herself into the black swan. As a little girl, I wanted to do something great, make a big difference, change the world. And a lot of this had to do with my role model, my grandfather. In my youth, I sat in his medical office as he took care of his patients, and I saw his kindness, how he took care of each patient, how he made connections. He knew a little bit of something about making connections because as a health officer of the state, he knew how to make changes not only on an individual level, but on a system level. And so he was my first role model as an authentic leader, as what it looks like to be passionate, to love and take care of others, and how to make that connection if you want to make a difference. And so he started my path on wanting to be a leader just like him in health and human services. And so I started my career in health and human services about 25 years ago. And I thought I had a master's degree. That said, I'm in management, so I should know everything that there is to know. After all, I saw my grandfather in action. I interviewed. I opened up some bunch of doors for me in regard to management. I was able to get those interviews, and I thought, well, this is it. I am a leader. Oh, was I wrong. I learned the hard way that not every manager is a leader. If you want to be a leader, one must start by being authentic. One must start by making connections and understanding the team that you're working with. Get to know your people. And so I had to take a step back and recognize what that looks like, what that feels like. And making connections and being authentic is not something that you could learn in class, in coursework. This is something that you learn through experience, by learning to be humble, by being passionate, by listening to your team, by taking feedback from your team, and from experience and taking responsibility and being self-aware. And so here we went. My transformation began. I took time to get to know my team. It was important for me to understand what their needs were. And how do we make connections, you may ask? Simple. Stopping in, saying hi, saying, hey, how you doing? What can I do for you today? Because leadership is not about just instructing people what to do or telling them what needs to be completed in terms of their task. Is really getting to know one and only every single one of your team members to supporting them. At times, it was literally rolling my sleeves up and moving furniture. Other times, it was sitting on a trash can in someone's office because there was no chairs there, so I could hear what they had to say. At times, it was crawling on top of a desk or underneath a desk, pretending to be the IT person. And the other piece to all of this leadership that I had to learn was I'm not a typical manager. And when I started my career early on, I was told in order to be a good manager, I needed to follow specific guideline. I couldn't laugh, that I was laughing too loud, that my sense of humor was not appropriate, that I was too close to my team. I was not following the book, the management book that is available to me, or so-called management book that you had to follow, because I was not meeting the profile in a male-dominant management role in health and human services. And I figured this is not me. I had to be genuine to myself. I had to be genuine to the team that I worked with. And so I danced to a different beat. And for me, what was important and what my grandfather taught me was that in order to make a change, if you want to make a difference, not only on an individual level, but on a system level, we had to be disruptive. We had to make a change. We couldn't go with status quo. And this concept is loosely associated with Mr. Taleb's book called Black Swan, which talks about disruption, and that in order changes occurs because of disruptions in the system. And even though some of this may on hindsight may be obvious, that disruption is needed for some significant change to occur. And so I believed my role to make a change and not be status quo and make a difference in people's lives is to be disruptive in a positive way. So what does this look like? So early on in my management and leadership, I was working with a team member who was having a difficult time working with clients. She was not able to engage. She didn't like doing home visits. So I went up to her and I said, "Hey, what's going on? What can I do to help you?" And her response to me was, "Yo, gee, have you ever thought about it? Not everyone gets all excited and passionate like you. Maybe some of us are here to just collect the check." And for me, that was a really novel idea. And I actually had to take a step back and say, "Thank you. Thank you for being honest with me." And I took what she told me, and I took time to get to know her passion, her interests. And what I learned from that process was that she really loved arts and crafts. So what do? I said, let's think outside the box. We're going to be disruptive. You don't want to go do home visits? Fine. Let's think what can be done differently for you. And we created these classes that our clients were coming in. She was doing arts and craft, and we were doing some education around healthy well-being for our clients. It worked out. And so this continued on with my journey and trying to do this. And I had to look back and see what other role models there are for me that are authentic, that they are self-aware and you put emotional intelligence in, that they have people, that they make connections to people. And we have quite a few when we look back in history. When I think of authentic leaders, some of the people that come to my mind, and some that you may consider, would be Cyrus the Great or Nelson Mandela. And in recent years, we do have other amazing women leaders that have come to the forefront, like Angela Merkel or Michelle Obama. These are, when you look at these individuals, these are what we would call genuine, authentic leaders who are very passionate and do make a change. They're able to disrupt the system to support and improve the well-being of our community. And so, hence, my path, my journey to make those connections, by making those simple hellos, by checking in with my people. Another example I wanted to share, not too long ago, I was sitting in an office with one of my clinicians, and she shared with me that we were discussing a very complicated case. And as I was sitting there discussing the case and brainstorming with her, she looked at me and she said, "This is really odd. I'm sitting here with my boss talking to you, and you're not going to write me up?" I'm like, "Why would I write you up? This is a coaching time. This is mentoring where we could brainstorm together to see how we could help our clients." And that was a novel idea, and it made me realize that her experience with managers have been very different because it's always been punitive. It never was an opportunity for dialogue. And so here we are, years after, and many years of working in the field, where I've learned that if I want to be leader, if I want to make a change, that there are several things that I need to consider. I need to consider the fact that I need to be authentic. I need to be genuine. I need to take feedback from my peers, from my colleagues, from my staff. I need to be humble. I need to remember that it's critical that everyone that we work with have a story to tell. And there is a passion. So what you want to do is hone into that passion that everyone carries and be able to help foster that, to further develop that, to support that process, to be able to make a difference, not only in that individual's life, but because that could basically have a tsunami of an effect, and it could make a difference in many people's life. So what I want to leave you guys with is a couple of things to be mindful of when you are looking at leadership. Because remember, not every manager is a leader. And so as you transform into your black swan, as I have, and I continue to grow professionally, personally, as a black swan, I want you to think about 3 important points. First one, positive psychology. In order for you to be authentic leader, in order for you to make change and make connection, it is critical that we as leaders give positive feedback, positive reinforcement. Take that time to give kudos to our team members, to acknowledge those small steps taken. It does make a big difference in people's lives. 2 is changing our environment. We don't want an environment that promotes toxicity. It is not conducive to work. Many people leave their positions not because of the position they have, but because of bad management. And the environment is critical. Create an environment of honesty, of safety, of an environment that promotes and fosters teamwork. It does make a difference. And as managers, as authentic leaders, we foster that by having conversations, by allowing us to share our vision and hearing and soliciting our team's vision, by working together as a team. Third and final feedback suggestion that I have for you is take time to be aware of your own surrounding, of who you are. Don't stop growing. Continue to grow professionally. Be aware of yourself, but also support your team members to grow professionally and personally, and be the black swan that you can be. Best wishes to you all.